And we're back.
So we are.
Season 2, Michele.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I've missed it. I've
Me
missed us
too.
being on
I've
the
missed
sofa.
being on the sofa. And we've got a new home.
I know. It's
How
lovely.
exciting.
Gorgeous. I've even got a pink mic
You've
to
got
match
a
my
pink
outfit.
mic. Well, you know me, I'm always dressed in black, but obviously not today.
Obviously not today.
So I stuck with the black. So what have you been up to? Tell us, because you have been up to loads.
So have you. Let's not pretend we've not been joined at the hip, because we have.
We have
So we've
been.
had your 30th.
I turned the big 3-0.
Looking fabulous.
It was great.
We've had your 30th, and we've had the wee simple matter of my wedding at the weekend.
I know, you've got a new surname.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michele Logue.
It's going to take a bit getting used to.
I know.
What's your
However,
name?
what did you use last week? And I loved it. You says,
Bringing the Vogue into Logue.
mic drop, bang.
Yeah. And then anybody that says, what's your surname? I say Logue, L-O-G-U-E. So Michele with one L now has two L's.
Absolutely
And the
love
full
it.
name. But yeah, so we
And
had...
we had such a fabulous time
we
in
did. We had
Belfast.
such
It
a
was
great
just
weekend.
a wedding weekend. Like, how extra.
It was fab.
Great.
So we had to get back to work because obviously we've been off all summer.
And
We've
we're
been,
booked and busy.
Yes. And yeah, we have got some exciting stuff coming up and looking forward to season 2, which this time we want to be all about the Scottish trades. So
Scottish
yeah,
trades.
giving hints, tips, all of these things that are useful for people who are thinking about doing home improvements.
And I think that is important.
Yeah.
Because we did touch on a lot of that last season, but we are going to focus on it within season 2. So I'm so excited because we've got some great guests lined up.
We have.
And on that note, today's guest is a goodie. What a way to start season
Kick it
2
off.
with an absolute bang.
I know.
None other than Warren Paul, CEO and founder of Paramount Creative, which is the brand behind some of the biggest industry awards in Scotland. And today we will be focusing on
Scottish Home Improvement Awards.
the Scottish Home Improvement Awards. I was going to say the Shias, but
Scottish Home 10th anniversary though.
10th anniversary.
This is a special one.
very
So,
special one. And we're getting a wee exclusive. Warren doesn't really do this much.
no, but we have him here today. So
We've got him here today.
Excellent.
So without further ado, so I think naturally let's just take it back to the start. Let us know, who is Warren Paul and Paramount Creative story?
Okay, where do I start? Well, I left school when I was 16. My parents were taken into the, speak to the head teacher or the teachers when I was 15 and a half to say, your son's got problems. He's got, ego problems, confidence problems. He's basically not very literate. He's not going to go to university, and basically give him an easy ride. And I left school at 16. I got a job, a YTS. I was on £29.50 a week, working for Strathclyde Regional Council. And they put me into college. And it was like a day release. So it was like one day a week you went to college, blah, blah, blah. And I got my first ever 100% when I went to college. So I just started doing my work. And the guy came in and he said he got results 100%. And I'd never had 100% ever at school, because the school I went to looks a lot better now than what it was then, but the objective for school with me was keeping your dinner money and your bus pass. So education was quite far down the priority list. It was about making sure that somebody else get their money taken off them, or somebody else get their bus pass taken off them. So school was quite challenging. It was more about survival and getting home with your bus pass, and nobody had assaulted you or robbed you. Right. So that was the start. And I didn't know that I had entrepreneurial spirit. My dad's a builder, so coming to home improvement awards, which we'll come on and talk about, but my dad was a steel erector. My brother's an electrician. So I come from a family of, of the trade, and I grew up in that. And they slag me to this day saying that I don't have a real job. And when am I going to get? My dad's 82, and he's like, even to this day, he's never been to an event, doesn't take any interest in what we do with regards to, can't understand it. And every now and again he'll say, you just drink coffee for a living, you don't actually do anything.
Just chat to people.
Yeah, and he says, and why can't you be more like your brother? My brother's got an electrical business, a really successful electrical business, but I was never wired that way. I went down a different road. I remember when I'd started this job at £29.50 a week, and I got my driving licence when I was 17. And I came home one night and I said to my mum and dad, I want to buy a lawnmower. And for the older generation and the older viewers will remember Case Catalogue, which was a catalogue you could buy and pay up. So my mum was like up for anything. So I'm
Aye.
like, I need to buy a strimmer and a petrol lawnmower and bits and pieces. And it was like 600 quid, but we're going back to 1991. So it was a lot of money. And it was £5 a week. And she went and ordered it for me and it turned up and my dad went crazy. He's like, what are you doing buying a lawnmower? What's your thought process? How are you going to afford this £5 a week? You're only getting £29.50. And I created a concept called The Lawnmower Man. And it was at a time when Jeff Goldblum had just launched a film called The Lawnmower Man. And I thought it'd be quite quirky that I'm the lawnmower man, but I'm not this futuristic guy. I'm a guy who cuts grass.
Cuts grass.
So I was working in this office and I was using their photocopy at night to print little flyers that I had made for clip art. And now we've got Canva. Now we've got Canva and we've got all these amazing programs, Adobe and so forth. And we've got a few graphic designers that work for us. But clip art was just like, it was like stickmen. So I put this wee flyer together saying The Lawnmower Man, special rates for OAPs and stuff. And I printed this little it was blue paper because where we worked, it was only blue paper they printed stuff on. So this flyer was like a light blue paper. And I just started handing them out around the area. So I'm originally from Cambuslang, so I started handing them out in more of the affluent areas, so like Burnside and the kind of surrounding area where there was a bit of disposable income, or so I thought. And I started probably in the February and handing out leaflets and leaflets and leaflets. Now, we're talking about an age before mobile phones, so I put mum and dad's house number on it. And I was living with mum and dad, so I must have put out maybe 6,000 leaflets, something like that. And I was working in the office, and nobody'd phoned, right? Because it was a Scottish weather, the weather hadn't changed yet, so it's nobody's phoned. And every night I was going out with my wee rucksack, and my dad was saying, are you going out to hand out leaflets again? Can you not get the hint? Phone's not ringing. Just forget about it. Pack up the lawnmower, blah, blah, blah.
Send back the lawnmower to Case Catalogue.
Send back the lawnmower to Case Catalogue, get your money back. So I remember, I'll never forget it, I was sitting in the office and in my work, and the phone rang, and it was like, there's 10 of us in this kind of desk, and there's one phone in the middle of it, way back to the days. And my boss answered the phone and went, is your dad on the phone? And I thought, somebody's died. Because my mum and dad, you're not allowed a phone call in the office, never mind. And I'm like, oh, who's died? What's happened? And I answered the phone, and I won't swear, but my dad said, see you, such and such. This phone's ringing off the hook with folk wanting their grass cut. Because the weather had changed at the weekend. The weather just got nice, and everybody obviously kept this leaflet and not flung it away and kept it in the fridge or whatever. And I got home that night and had 50 people that had phoned in wanting phone numbers and wanted grass cut and wanted quotes. So at the time, I'll get slagged for this, but I was driving a Fiat Uno, which they don't make anymore. It's probably none left in the world. But like a Fiat 500, only less fun. A bit more boring than a Fiat 500. They're quite cool now, but this one was a bit boring. So I put the seats down in my Fiat and I put my lawnmower in it and my strimmer and it went away. And in the first week, I made 300 quid. Now, bearing in mind, I was getting £29.50. I think my dad was only earning £300 at the time, full time. And he came in and he went, what are you going to do? Because you're going to need more lawnmowers, you're going to need more things. So I put a tow bar on my Fiat and I bought a trailer and I bought another lawnmower. But I think that the moral behind that story was that day that I came in with the 50 people there, my dad had £500 sitting in the breakfast bar. And he went, I want to get into business with you.
No way.
And he gave me, moment. So he'd woke up and went, hang on a minute here, this guy's got something. I don't know how it's happened or how it's manifested, but I'm in.
From not believing.
From being an unbeliever. But we don't come from a family of business people, we're a working class family. And he gave me the 500 quid and I used the 500 pound to buy my trailer and buy more lawnmowers. And then within 3 months, I'd bought a van. And that was me off in my entrepreneurial journey without realising it. Without realising it.
But isn't it funny that you were saying about the school days then where like, oh, you're never going to make a success of anything now. And now we have like so much support behind the guys at school. And it used to be seen then, like if you weren't clever, you weren't going to get your exams and whatever, that you could just do a trade. Aye. But my God, now the trades are. Well,
my brother is hugely successful. He does all the big restaurants in Glasgow. Pizzano, Sugo. Yeah. He's the guy behind the guy that electrifies it and wires it all up.
And that's evident as well, given like seeing some of the people that's came through, like the Scottish Home Improvement Awards too, which is we'll touch on that
Yeah.
a bit. But it's great to
Yeah.
see some of these
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
go from strength
Yeah.
to strength through that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just, you know, I think we're changing as a country, but I think way back then, you know, Tony Blair came in and it was like everybody needs to go to university. Everybody
Yeah,
needs to
yeah,
go to
yeah.
university. If you don't go to university, you won't survive. And I think there was a kind of a change. And I think we're kind of pulling back in that now. As an employer, I get people that come for interviews for jobs, and everybody's got a degree.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not interested in it, but the fact that everybody's
It's-
got one, I
yeah.
go, well, great. What else have you done? And I'm looking for the added value. You know, where have you worked? How have you got there? How did you get to university? Because they've kind of cheapened it a bit
Yeah.
because they went so far down the road where everybody's got a degree.
Yeah.
But as I
Yeah.
said, I think that, you know, you'll see, you know, the Home Improvement Awards, you know, we're going to have over 700 people at it from all walks of life. The vast majority of them haven't been through university. A lot of them have been through college, but they're self-made. And I think there's something really special about that night for me, having been in a similar position of not being academic and not having went through university and having found a different route.
Yep.
And these guys have found a different route. And I think it's a real example to teach young people that not everybody is an A student. Not
Yeah,
everybody has got,
absolutely.
you know, can play a musical instrument, but you can still, everybody finds their way through life.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're unemployed, whether you're alcoholic, or, you know, you decide that you're just not working or you've had a rough time. We'll get to the end game. And it's just that there's different ways of getting there.
Different paths.
Yeah.
And so how long did you cut grass?
So that grew arms and legs. I mean, we were painting houses, building garages. It was a crazy time. And my dad had said to me, don't get your hands dirty. You've got something special. You should focus on using your hands and your brain to make money rather than me and your family who have had to work hard and we cut. My dad would come in and he'd be stitched up and all sorts of stuff, you know, because health and safety then in the days was quite different as well.
Or what was
So-
classed as a grafter then, wasn't it?
Aye.
Because-
I was a pen pusher.
Aye.
That's what I was called.
Yeah.
Because I worked in office and stuff like that. So all my pals were all tradespeople. So I was the odd one out. So I was like, they're all like going as a joiner, a plumber, and I'm like, what are you doing in office? And I wore a shirt and tie because that's what you did in the days. Now it's more casual.
Hence where the professional coffee drinker comes in.
Aye, absolutely. But we decided to kind of, my dad said, look, I mean, there's regret at some point because how big would that landscape company be now if we'd have kept it going? So we kind of stepped away from that and I kind of focused on my career. And it was always going to be sales. I just had a desire to be in sales from a really young age. And it wasn't until 21 that people started, you know, you looked older, you looked more mature, and right, we can put you in front of a potential customer.
Sure.
And then that became my journey. And I've been very lucky that some of the sales jobs, they were able to train me and educate me and you know, in the skills and what's involved in being able to present yourself or present a product properly. I get involved in, I think in 2022, 23, with Tom Farmer was opening up a call centre.
Quick Fit.
Quick Fit car
Worked in
insurance. So did I.
Oh.
And I was one of the managers in there and I ran a few teams and my job was to train up the sales guys in there. And it was quite funny because I went for the interview and it was £11,500 basic and bonus. And again, my dad, I came down the stairs and I said, I've done a television interview, a telephone interview with Quick Fit Insurance, and I've got an interview, a second interview, and I'm in charge of a team. And my dad went, a team of how many? I went 14. He went 14 adults. He went, what do you know about training and motivating and managing 14 adults? And I went, I'll pick it up. And he went, don't go for it. He went, you'll be found out and you'll be sacked. That's the confidence that my dad had in me. And went in for the second interview, in for the third interview, got the job. Next one, I've got 14 people. And I just took to it naturally. I just knew how to communicate with people. It was just a gift that I had.
Yeah.
How to manage and motivate
And that is,
get the
you've
best.
just stressed one of the most important things. It is all down to communication, isn't it?
100%.
Your style and your people skills.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it. And
You've got to
listening.
listen.
But like
you
say,
know.
just for a minute, because you're younger than us. So in Quick Fit, when I went to Quick Fit, and I wouldn't have said I was a proper salesy person, but when I went to Quick Fit, I think the secret they had in there was the motivation and the buzz that they gave you.
Very Americanised, so it was, for a well ahead of its time.
Well ahead of its time, and it was a full call centre thing. And
Like Wolf of Wall Street
It
vibes.
It was
was
very
like-
Wolf of Wall
yeah.
Street vibes.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
was. I mean, I watched that film with my wife and I laughed all the way through it.
Yeah.
And then she said to me then, do you think you're him? And I said, well, I wouldn't say I was exactly him, but there was a lot in there that I could relate
resonated.
to.
Aye.
I remember getting a sale, and you'd to say to the person, it wasn't like, would you like to go ahead? It was like, right, so go and get your credit card and we'll get that put through for you now. And I remember the first time I did it, I'm thinking they're going to say, no. And they went, right, okay. And I was like, yes. So then you rang a bell in the middle of the table. You rang a bell.
But the training was
fantastic.
outstanding. I mean,
It was.
State of the art. I mean,
Yeah.
that, all through my career, I've been able to get jobs where there was a lot of training involved, psychological training, body language, buying motives. Why do people buy? What makes them buy? And it all come back to they need to like you. And it was a very much a written rule. You've got 30 seconds when you walk in there, and people are going to make a decision on you, rightly or wrongly. No. And they're going to go, look at your shoes, look at how you're dressed, look at, has he got a tattoo? Has he got his hair out of place? Is his shoes dirty? So much level of detail. And I've just been able to take that on through my career.
People buy for people.
And that's the first thing. People buy for
100%.
people. If they like you, you've got a chance. If you happen to have a good product, you're on to a winner.
Yeah.
Because I sold a lot of crap over the years, and stuff, and I look back and I think, how do people buy some of that stuff? And then you get a product which is very good. So after Quick Fit, I got a job with the Good Food Guide, and a friend of mine had got a job in there, and he says, I want you to come out with me one afternoon. I've got the best job in the world, right? And I need you to come and see it. And his job was basically going into restaurants and trying the food and doing a review and then selling them into the book. But again, you've got to take yourself back to an era where there's no internet, right? There's no social media. There's no mobile phones. I mean, it's crazy. Like the young ones, that I explain it to them and they go, how did you survive? So it's quite a different environment. But the only way you found about restaurants was you bought this book. Or you would see an advert in a newspaper. And these books went into all the hotel rooms throughout the city. So they're very, very powerful, done by cuisine. You look through, go a fancy Chinese, a fancy Indian. You've got 4 or 5 to pick from. And there's a map at the back, and you open the map and you go D4, and you went to that restaurant. So I went and met him in the Amber Regent.
God.
And the Amber Regent were red carpet in the day, and he's sitting there and I'm going, what else can I get you, sir? What can I get you? And I run about after this guy, and I'm sitting there.
I want his job.
Yeah, and I'm going, what do you do? He went, I've just got to write some notes and blah, blah, blah. And then I sell them into the programme, and I get a commission and a bonus, and there's a gold credit card you get, and they just put everything on it. I went, what do you mean you put everything on it? He went, you just put everything on it. I've not spent my wages for 3 months. So I'm sitting there like, I thought he was at the wind-up. So I left him and just went back to my work. Never phoned him back. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, he says, they're looking for people. Are you interested? And I went, that was a wind-up. Because that type of job doesn't exist. So one afternoon, I knew he was in Glasgow. And I just turned up at a place I knew he was at to see if it was the same. And it was exactly the same again. I think it was a whole Wong he was in. And it was just like unbelievable. So I went through Edinburgh, met the owner. The owner was half French, half American, real eccentric kind of guy, but a great guy, heart of gold. I went in there, started working in there for a couple of years, and I was in London one afternoon, and I got a phone call, and I was to phone the office, and he says, fly back into Edinburgh. And I went, I'm going to Glasgow, it's Friday night. He says, fly back into Edinburgh. And the guy who was the boss of the UK had been relieved of his position because he had been fiddling the expenses. Now, why you would want to fiddle?
When you had your gold
This
credit
is
card.
like, honestly, these jobs don't exist anymore. This is a job that, we talk about the good old days, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they offered me the job, and I had a good relationship with the guy. And I'm only think about it. He says, well, did you see Kenny sitting out there? I'm going to offer him it next. So I took it. And I had to phone this guy and say, look, I've took your job. And that was a bit awkward at the time. But then I'm thrust into running the whole of the UK, so I'm in charge of 18 cities across the whole of the UK doing this. But the mistake, not a mistake, because it's all about opportunity, but the mistake that the owner made is that he put me in charge of publishing and running the whole operation. So within 12 months, I knew how to run the whole operation. And I thought, and I was making a lot of money, and I thought, why am I not doing this for myself? Because again, the entrepreneur side kicked back in again. And it was just food related. And I went, it should be more than food. What about bars, nightclubs, after parties, lap dancing bars? There's a whole multitude of things that a visitor would look for when they went to a hotel room. So I launched the entertainment guide, which was a thing of his, but a more modern, diverse type of book compared to what he did. Within a couple of years, a lot of his staff had switched over to us, and we were motoring, and we had a big office in Glasgow and a lot of support. And
it is
was going
interesting
well.
to see how obviously the Warren stories took effect in the journey over the years, and naturally what Paramount Creative's been born into, like, because it's
Paramount Creative was so what happened with publishing is that the credit crunch came. So when we were going and visiting all these different hotels and all these different, and then at the same time, the internet had been invented, but it wasn't there yet. You couldn't commercialise it or monetise it. But
Yeah.
people, as soon as the internet came along, people thought that was a silver bullet.
Yeah.
So everybody went, I'm stopping advertising and printed stuff. I'm stopping printing stuff. Everything's going to go on my website. But nobody even, a lot of people did it was dial up. You couldn't really get access. So it was but there was like a vacuum at that time. But what happened to us as a company is everything switched. So I'm getting to speak to people who were spending thousands of pounds every year with us, go, no, this year, big fella, I've invested in a website. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to make any money for the website. Because at the moment, all these people in the hotels don't have Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi hadn't been invented. You're not going to dial up in a hotel room. But we became basically a dinosaur in a modern world overnight. And our business was defunct. And it was going like this. And I had a business partner. And I said, we're over. we're a dinosaur. No, it's because of the credit card. I went, no. I'm speaking to customers and I'm listening because I've got 2 years and only one of them, so I'm listening twice as much. And they're telling me, you're gone. I said, so I'm going to diversify because I've been in the industry for a long time and I'm going to swivel. And he went, no, I'm going to stick tight. So we shook hands. He decided to stay in publishing and I decided to do something different. And the idea of the events business, because I wasn't from events background, but we used to sponsor events. So I'd go with my wife and my team to different events. We sponsored Curry Awards and other events are available, but some competitor events and stuff. And I used to go to them and I'd go, I don't like that. You know, and as an interior designer, you'll know what that's like. You get in and you go, I don't like this. I would do this different. So this happened over maybe a period of 6 months. We were at a number of events. And one night my wife had a couple of glasses of wine and she said to me, see, instead of moaning about events, if you think you're that good, why don't you do it yourself? And I went, well, you know, it's funny you should say that. I said, because that's what I want to do. And I've got an idea. And the idea was the Entertainment Awards. And the Entertainment Awards was basically built off the back of the reputation we had with the Entertainment Guide, which was all the restaurants and the bars and everybody that we'd built a relationship off over a number of years. So the trust was there. And as we come back, we spoke about earlier on, people by people. So when we went to these guys, we went, look, I've got a concept. And they went, right, okay, how do you see it working? And et cetera, et cetera. But when it launched, a couple of quick things I'll tell you, but we went to see a guy, Mark Gallagher, right? He's a very, very successful general manager in the hotel industry. He's moved since, but it was at the Doubletree. And the Doubletree is the biggest ballroom in Scotland, okay?
That's right.
So I've got a meeting with this guy, and the guy's sitting down with a contract, and he went, listen, how many events have you done? I went, none. He went, why are you here? He said, why don't I send you down to the Grand Central? They'll hold 200 people in there. I went, no, we're going to have 600 at this. And he went, no. He says, this might not fire up. And I went, no, I'm convinced it will. He went, I know, but it might not. If it doesn't, you've got a big contract here, and when you sign it, you'll need to honour it. He went, and that's thousands and thousands of pounds. Are you confident in it? I went, I'm confident. So he refused. And he said, look, go away and think about it. We'll have another meeting. So I had another meeting a couple of weeks later, and I signed a contract with a minimum number of 500 on it. And they signed it. He went, you're either the craziest guy I've ever met, or you've got something that you some sort of magic that you can wave a wand and it's just going to magically appear. But then it didn't fire, and we were in a bit of trouble because you're not sleeping at night. You know, there's no money coming in. Your costs are getting up, and it was running a kind of like that. And then and nobody was sponsoring it because a couple of things, credit crunch, nobody had any money. It's a brand new concept, and sponsors will tell you, come back when it's established and we'll have a look at it. And then I remember the game changer for me was a meeting with Britvic, and I met this girl, Michele, lovely girl, and we were talking about the concept, and she said, look, I love it, but we've no money, we'll get any money. And I went, and that was my point where I thought, I'm going to pull this, I'm not going to do this, because my contract and everything else. And I was walking out the door, she went, I could give you 500 bottles of Pepsi and the Pepsi logo. And I was about to turn around and say to her, stick your bottles of Coca-Cola, no Coca-Cola, Pepsi. All the brands are available. And I said, hang on a minute, what can I do with the logo? She went, whatever you want. I went, so you give me permission to use the Pepsi logo in whatever guise in every shape I want? 100%. So then I went, hang on, back to the office. I went, what are we doing with all the voting material? What are we doing with the website? Let's rebrand it, the Pepsi Scottish Entertainment Awards. And when I say it went like that overnight.
Wow.
And we redistributed it to everybody and spoke to everybody and went, Pepsi are involved. And at the time, I think it was Britney Spears that was fronting it. And Brittany was really driving it, you know, and she was the hot stuff at the time for everybody. And everybody went, Pepsi's involved. Pepsi's involved, I'm in. So we managed to get all the sponsors off the back of that and everybody to buy in. And at the first event, we had 680 people at it from the standing start. And the managing Mark, the GM, came over the night and went, I don't know how you did it. I've got no idea. He says, but from nothing to 680, he says, it's just unbelievable.
Phenomenal.
He says, and I've got to take my hat off to you. So there's a few things that happened. People always talk about luck. I don't believe in luck. I think people that mention luck are people who are jealous or people who they are wired wrong and the glass is half empty. I think you make your own luck. And I think if you work hard and you listen and you watch and you analyse and you keep your ego in check where you stay humble, opportunities come for everybody and it's just being able to see the opportunity.
But I
And
think
that's where Paramount was born.
relationships. Everything comes back to relationships, and
100%.
you building relationships with all these different people. And if you hadn't built a relationship with the Pepsi brand woman, she wouldn't have offered you the 500. But you know, it's just it all comes back to that. Everything. Yeah,
and I mean, as I said, we're 15 years down the road now. We work in 10 different industries. You know, we're just about to launch an event in London next year, 2026, and we've got an event in New York in 2027. And we're just having fun, and we love what we do.
So, see, in terms of the awards, right? So, obviously, we want to talk about the Scottish Home Improvement Awards, but there's obviously others. What do you think it is that drives people to want to be a part of that? Because in Scotland, we're not very great at going, look at me, I'm wonderful and I'm great. So, how do we then want to be recognised? You want to be recognised, don't you?
I think if we take, we're here to talk about the Home Improvement Awards. So, well, it's an interiors design programme. I think there's a number of reasons why the Home Improvement Awards are successful. I think that social media's had a lot to do with it in the latter years, but obviously we've been going for 10 years, and when we first launched, we launched without social media. I think what happens is that people are driven with different things, and I think that if you become successful in your own right, and you don't have a degree, and you've kind of dragged your way up, or you've climbed your way up the ladder, what is the next thing? What if you're going 3 or 4 holidays a year, you've got the Aston Martin, or you've got the Ferrari, or you've got the Golf GTI. They don't even make them anymore, do they? But you get the idea. If you've got a nice car, you've bought the Rolex watch. I've been the 3 or 4 holidays a year. What's the next thing in the agenda? And the next thing in the agenda is recognition, and it's recognition by a body or an organisation that separates you from your competitors, because you'll have grown up in an environment, and if it's just say it's joinery. Everybody knows everybody in Scotland. It's quite a small world, so everybody will know. I know him. He went to that school. I went to that school. He's my competitor, or I'm better than him. And it's very, very competitive. And the thing about Scottish people is they're very passionate. You know, where they are a bit more reserved in certain things, they're very passionate. You know, and they want to win. The will to win is incredible. Yeah. And I think there's a number of ingredients that we use to get that engagement. But I think in the last 4 or 5 years, social media has transformed our business overnight. And that's because of the need for content. Because when you launch, you're your social media guy, when you launch an Instagram or a TikTok or a Facebook, immediately you've put yourself under pressure. Because immediately I need to post. And that might be posting once a week, 2 or 3 times a week, once a month, however amounts of times you do it. But you've got to have content.
Yeah.
And if you take a joiner, for example, let's say a bathroom guy, once he's fitted a bathroom, right? Most bathrooms have got a shower in it, maybe in a bath, in a WC, in a sink. But once you've fitted the next one, and it's a bath and a toilet, this one might have gold taps. This one's got black walls. But ultimately, it's bathrooms you're fitting, and you've got to keep an engagement, and you've got to keep people interested. And what's brilliant about like the Home Improvement Awards, if you like, is it allows you to take your customers on a different journey. And it allows you to say to your customers, we need your vote.
Yeah.
I fitted your bathroom. If you think we're worthy of an award, we'd love your support.
Yep.
And you can build competitions around that. You can build interactions. We go and visit some of these guys and we'll do video content with them. And again, it lifts their profile. And then ultimately they come along in the night. They're all dressed up. They've got their black tie on, their kilts on. And they're at this mega event. And they're going, look, we're here. And we're here with the elite of Scotland. And so it raises their profile. So it's a multifaceted. There's many, many, many little parts go into it. But it makes it, for us, it's like gold dust. And then what happens if you get any sort of recognition is you can make a lot of money from it. And our winners would say it's probably worth somewhere in the region of 175 to £250,000 to win to win a home improvement award. Even coming runner-up, which we call highly recommended. You can commercialise that and monetise that, and that's done in a number of different ways because we now get in the newspapers, because we're well established. We have, Glasgow Live, The Sun. I think we were in 38
PR
newspapers last year.
Aye.
So everybody's in with that positive message.
And I think it's good, like having been to a couple in the last few years, it's good. For me, it's like peer recognition as well. So it's like there's like a lot of interior designers out there that have been there for years, and then to be in that category with them and thinking, my God, and actually meeting them and then going and saying, oh yeah, when I first met Jane with them and stuff, and I was like, my God,
opportunities at it also.
The opportunities are great. And even since then, I've then went, oh, I've met RD Venetiano, I've met such and such, I've met, and I met them at the Home Improvement Awards and whatever. Everybody's, so I mean, first of all, it's a super clever like concept for people because it's from a business point of view, it's amazing. People want to be part of it.
And to then meeting them at the Shires, to then at the Ideal Home Show, and you're like, oh, and it just creates that community.
Because it is you then become part of the community. Sometimes being an interior designer on your own, it's just you. It can be quite lonely at points. When you've then got all of these people that you start like recognising in different things, you're thinking, oh, this is great. We're part of something. Yeah. Which is nice. And I think for the guys that have got teams, when they go to that night out, as you say, they all get dressed up. They've got their team there. Yep. It's a proud moment for them when they're all sitting having their drinks and their dinner and they're waiting for their name to be called and whatever. It's
just
good.
want to touch on something. You had mentioned about the joiner or something. I had a conversation yesterday with a rough caster, and probably an abnormal client for me because of the industries that I've been working in through social media. But he said that those exact words which you have just said there, he says, I'm normally booked out for the next 12 months. He says, we've had a Facebook page for 10 years. He says, I've noticed, he says, we're only booked up to the end of the year now, the next 6 months max. He says, and it's because we're not being on the ball with content. And he's like, help. And it just shows you like how much
the world has completely changed. I mean, we've had to evolve. If I look at the last 15 years to what we were doing 15 years ago to what we're doing now, so all our voting material comes with QR codes. So you can just scan and vote instantly. You can vote within 30 seconds. There's lots of different avenues that are open to us that weren't open to us all the years ago. And because of the way it's evolved, it's helped us. And as I said, I don't believe in luck, but social media has certainly elevated what we can do. For example, we can put campaigns out there. We can specifically reach a specific audience very, very quickly. Whereas we were posting stuff out, 10,000 leaflets out to different houses, and it's changed an awful lot. But I think what you're spot on that it's a very proud moment, and I think that, as I said, we don't get the opportunity as an organisation to speak like this. We don't have videos of me getting interviewed and sitting there and Des Clark asking me questions about where did it come from and whatever else. And on the night, it's not the right time to do that. But people who do meet us and people who do work with us and we're partners and we're sponsors and so on, we care about what we do. Yes, we make money. I like to think of it as a happy circle. We make money because we run it. Our sponsors make money because they can be introduced to the people in the room. And the winners and the highly recommended and the finalists can all monetize it. But a lot of them don't know how to do that. Yeah. And people have said to me in the past, you should set another company up, and that company should be a specialist marketing and media company. And then as soon as they win or they come highly recommended, you should be speaking to them and saying, for X amount of money, we can show you how to do that. We've never done that because I think there's a severe conflict with that, because what we want to say is people come up to me in the night and go, thank you for my win. And I always say to them, don't thank me. Yeah. Because if you hadn't won, you wouldn't be coming to thank me, you'd be coming to shout at me. And equally, we don't pick the winners. Yeah. There's an independent judging panel. They've seen something in your submission. They've seen something when they've done the research and a deep dive into your business, and they believe you deserve recognition. So if you want to thank us, the best way to do it is to have a coffee with our sponsors, have a coffee with our strategic partners, guys like yourself, and see how they can help you grow your business. Yeah.
And that being said, like, is there any businesses that have ultimately transformed massively after maybe winning their first award, second award? Is there any kind of stories that stick out for you?
There's loads. Vantage Windows is one. Ernie Rea, originally based out of Bells Hill. I think he's originally an Airdrie boy, family of Airdrie. And it just gives them that inner confidence to go on. I mean, when you're voted Scotland's best window installer,
Aye.
and you know you're good, but then all of a sudden you've got a badge.
Yeah.
And I think Ernie's went on and won loads of Witch Awards and loads of stuff across the whole of the UK, and he's transformed his business.
Because there probably is, and I know it's something so small, but there's probably nothing more special than actually going to your sign writer and going, can you make me up an award winning?
Well, you drive about Scotland and you see all the vans.
The vans are.
Yeah,
we've done a deal recently with Cube Wraps. So Cube Wraps are a specialised company in Hamilton.
Yep.
And we spoke to Gary, and the way we've done it this year is we've given him all the graphics and we've given him all the stuff because we don't get involved in the kind of aftermath. People were just putting these stickers in their van and the logo wasn't correct, or it had been stretched, or it had the wrong date on it or whatever. And I'm going, well, you're damaging your opportunity, but you're also damaging the brand, which we're trying to protect and trying to promote and try to elevate at every opportunity. So Gary now, this year, they'll get a chance where he'll have all the graphics. And if they want a sticker on their bumper, he'll be able to do a sticker, but it's the right sticker, it's the right category, and it's got high resolution and it looks the part. But equally, if they want to wrap their whole van, then they've got the facility there. Yeah. So as time goes on, we're always looking at saying, look, how do we improve? How do we improve the facilities, and how do we elevate it?
Well, we did give feedback just to let you know that the first year, I think the second year, architects and interior designers were in the same category, and we were like, no, this is wrong.
100%.
However, it is great to see that has evolved.
But the feedback went in, and obviously then there was the separated the category.
Yeah.
So
it's clearly it has been listened to.
Nobody is more critical than us. We do a debrief after the event. And we've had some of the best events ever in different categories, and we'll sit and we'll find things that we can improve. And I think when you think you've arrived, it's the most dangerous place to be in. I think when we went into the Home Improvement Awards, you have an idea of how you think it's going to work, and then you need to listen to your customers.
Yeah.
I think that, there's over the years, there's various things that the categories that we've tweaked and we've looked at it. We thought, well, in hindsight's a brilliant thing.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we take constructive feedback, very important.
Absolutely.
And it's good and it's positive and negative. We get negative feedback and we try and mitigate that. Some of it will be valid and we'll take it and go brilliant. Some of it will go,
embrace
that's
it,
just, he's not one, he's
make the
upset
relevant
because he's
changes.
sour grapes, which is fine. But the ones that we think are valid, we'll take on. But equally, we get lots of emails in saying, we've transformed my business, and we print them out and we share them with the team because...
And that is probably the downside of social media, because like you do naturally see some of the comments come through, and whether majority of them obviously are all positive, like well done, X, Y, Z, well done. And then it's the ones that are like, oh, why has my business not been mentioned in the finalists or the nominations?
I think some of them are valid, and I think the ones that are valid we leave up. As I said, we understand social media, we call it the burning fire.
Aye.
And it can ignite your business in a positive way, or it can ignite your business in a negative way. And it's about an element of fairness. I think people who want to bring it into disrepute, we've had people in the past, get on and saying things and they're ripping up a certificate or whatever because they're looking for that, their 200 followers to say to them, oh, that's brilliant, you're fighting the empire and all that. We're not an empire, we're not a government body, we're a private business who cares about the industry, and it's a platform to improve the reputation of the industry across Scotland. And as I say, everybody who is attached to us benefit from it. So from our point of view, we think we're doing the right thing. I think
it's also coming back to that point where you said about, it's not about luck, it's about opportunity, and it's about what you do with that opportunity. So if you get the opportunity to be a finalist or a highly recommended or a winner, what are you doing with that? Like, so that's up to you to go and do that. It's like Ideal Home Show are sponsoring this year because it's the 10th anniversary. Declan and I have been fortunate enough to have opportunity from Ideal Home Show to be on the stage with them. And this year we met Laura Hamilton when she was there, and we had the opportunity to chat with her. We've been on their YouTube channel. Laura was like, I'll come on your podcast, like all of these things. And again, it's the Scottish things like, oh, thanks very much. Like, well, I'll no ask her. We'll no take
having the association
and you absolutely need to take those opportunities, or you're left behind.
Yeah. You mentioned Ideal Home Show. I mean, we had a brilliant relationship with them for a number of years, and then London centralised it. They closed the Scottish office down. Massive mistake. Yep. Scotland has to be treated quite a bit different from anything else out of the UK. And when you're in England, London is London centric, and that's fine. But in Scotland, people see themselves Scottish, they don't see themselves British. And it's understanding the mechanics behind that. And I think that they've learned from that. And then they brought a new team in. And as soon as the new team were in place, they reached out to us. And again, we're of the attitude where the door's never shut. We don't fall out with anybody. It might be that we're changing marketing direction, we're doing this, but we go, no problem, that's how it is. Because we're here for the next 25 years. So when they came back and re-engaged with us, we thought, absolutely. It's crucially important.
And an incredible way to mark the 10-year anniversary.
It's a great way to mark the 10th year anniversary, but also from their point of view, you know, the ideal home show is evolving, and it's got food outlets, and it's a more of an experience rather than.
Yeah.
But you know, can there be more people, you know, presenting there from a home improvement point of view? 100%. And I think that's where we both agree that by working with us, we can introduce them to people that would see that side of the event next year, where there'll be more people that are actually exhibiting things that are to do with home improvement, where the rest of it, obviously, that lifestyle element is already there.
And John Amabley's been out and about. He has been out and about all over the,
Well done,
the
Declan.
socials.
It's the first time you've said his name properly.
John Amabel.
he always goes, John, what's that? John Amabla.
John Amiabla.
Amiabla. And I'm like, no,
I
John
actually
Amabla.
have spelt it Maabla so that I can
say it properly.
But again, from an interior design perspective, it's great that John's involved, because obviously he's just a legend. Like you always used to see him in his kilt and changing rooms and all the rest of it.
Scottish royalty.
Scottish royalty. So
we grew up with him. I grew up watching the TV programmes.
Yeah.
I loved 60-minute makeover and changing rooms and all that. Absolutely loved it. And we were very lucky to work with John right at the very beginning. And we met John when the idea was being mooted and we were looking at the concept. We saw John as a brilliant fit for the organisation. And he hosted the first one 10 years ago. And he's always been working with us behind the scenes, not maybe front and centre, but he's always been involved with the Italian Awards, and he's obviously half Italian, and he's been involved in other projects that we've done. But this year we felt as if it was a really important year just to look back over the last 10 years, and just because we never ever take time to sit down, right? We'll leave here the day and you'll go on and do your interior design, you're going to do your social media, and I'll go and do what I've got to do. And sometimes it's just nice to be able to say, look, let's just put a pause here. Let's just look back in the last 10 years, what we've been able to achieve, but who can we bring back into that mix of people that have helped us on the way?
Yeah.
You know, and John's an important part of that.
well, I'm just hoping he brings his kilt back to because he was always his kilt iconic. Are you listening, John?
Right, exactly. I'm sure I don't know if he can still fit into it. Apologies, John, but I'm sure if he can, then he might.
So
I think he was talking about this
new?
big fluffy jacket or something. that he was
I'm
gonna...
sure he'll have some sort of fluff. But what else is new for 10 years then? Is it different this year or?
Well, I think that the branding changed quite a bit. You know, we've brought into just the gold and the black branding, I think, because again, we wanted to put a marker down.
Yeah.
I mean, I think selfishly from my point of view, we're working with Cash for Kids as our charity partner, and George Bowie is coming to do a special GBX experience, and I think this audience will be
That'll
an
be
audience
crazy.
that's going to,
Yeah.
you know, we've got a great relationship with George, and over the years it's the right fit. And I think for this audience and the demographic and the type of people you've in the room, and I think there's a lot of excitement around that, you know, because they'll be wanting their picture with George for their socials, and George has got a special hour-long kind of GBX set that he's got planned for that.
The bits and pieces will be crazy.
Bits and pieces will be on a number of times, you know.
So guys, just a wee quick interruption to today's episode. We're thrilled to announce that the Scottish Interior Podcast is proudly sponsored by Tyrrell's Home Furnishings. Tyrrell's has a wealth of experience, over 90 years within the industry. So a huge thank you to Tyrrell's Home Furnishings for supporting the podcast, bringing style, comfort and inspiration to homes across Scotland. So running a bank of awards, it does sound glamorous, but let's be honest, is it?
I think no is the answer. We have got 2 new girls that started in the 1st of September, and how I explain it to them is, you know, you've got 350 days a year of really, really hard, unfun, you know, secretarial, administrative, you know, we get a lot. You can imagine with all the events we do, how many phone calls we get into the office, how many emails we get in. My QR code's not working. I want to register. A lot of the industries we're in, Spice Awards, Italian Awards, English isn't their first language. So it can be very challenging. They send an email and it's hard to understand it, and you're speaking to them. So that's not what I would call very sexy, you know, and there's a lot of that effort and blood, sweat and tears goes on in the office. But then equally, you get 10 weddings a year.
Yeah.
So it's like that emotional roller coaster where, you know, we've got different times of the year where we're under pressure. On the run up to the Home Improvement Awards, for example, the intensity in the office is quite intense because you're dealing with media inquiries, you're dealing with people. I need my finance certificate. I need my little banner for it to go on my bottom of my social media.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got all the kind of menu requests because people have now obviously
Booked their
allergies now and
tables
everything else, and allergens is a massive thing now.
Absolutely.
So it's making sure that everybody's is correct and everybody's happy and everybody is only interested in themselves. Obviously, when they're phoning up, they're only interested in themselves. But we've got
Absolutely.
700 people that we need to be interested in, and obviously all the partners and everything else. But yeah, I think the day to day is not. I mean, people. I was at a wine tasting thing yesterday, and the guy came over and went. He says it's unusual to see you without a bow tie on, because obviously on social media there's a perception that I wear a bow tie all the time, but I don't. I only wear it 10 times or 12 times a year. But I normally dress like this or a tracksuit. But I would say that it's not all what people would say. You've got the dream job. Oh my God, I'd love to work with you. But the reality is that you're in an office. And you're constantly on the phone or on an email or a video call. I mean, you're jumping on a number of different things.
It's the same, like, from any, you talked about, bathrooms having a WC and a sink and whatever. It's the same with interior design projects. You do months and months and months of hard graft.
Yeah.
Hard graft, and people want to see the finished article like that.
Yeah.
And so therefore we do time lapses and reels, and you see it flash, and it looks fabulous because you think, oh God, if only it took that length of time, but it actually takes all of the hard graft to get to that end.
The reality of that as well is it's like sometimes I'm heavily focused on like showcasing your stuff, like making sure we get the finished article, but you're like the work that middle bit of the reel.
I think the sad thing is that nobody appreciates that. That we'll stand up on the night and I'll say to my team, look, take this in. Drink it in and look at what we've achieved, because to try and get 700 people in a room to a black tie sit down dinner and everything else is quite a big undertaking, and we'll work on this project for about 5 months, just nearly 6 months. So but the great thing about it is there's an end game to it. And sometimes in your business, or you've got an end game with the interior design, but if you're in printing, for example, you deliver the printing job and they go, right, I need business cards now and I need this, and there's never a kind of end result. So you're just in a constant perpetual madness. Whereas with us, we have an end game where we sit and go, and then we can sit back and go, great, and then you take the feedback, good, bad and indifferent, depending on how successful it is.
Well, I got married on Saturday there, so that was months and months of planning and organising. It was in Belfast, so there was 3 different venues. I had everybody coming from Friday to Monday. I had stuff on the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday. People were boat, air, plane, whatever, And
I had my wee kilt on.
You had your kilt on. and actually once it's like, and that was only 50 people, and you sat there and you go, oh, and everybody was like, that went like clockwork, that was great. And I'm like, oh, yes, it did, thank God. But after it, like this week, I'm like, oh, that's it, done. It's like
that's an appreciation for what... if you've done that, then you know what it's like.
And that was on a much smaller scale.
And it's attention to detail, running orders. It's making sure that there's so many different cogs and there's so many different parts to it, and then it runs on the night, and people go, "This runs well." As if it's like by luck,
as if it's magic.
But as I said, there's no an appreciation for that. But as I said, we've never done it for a pat in the back. It's not what we're about. We don't sit there wanting somebody to come out and go, oh, listen, you are great. We're all about, we're laser focused on what the job at hand is, and that's to raise the profile of the home improvement industry in Scotland and get as much recognition and media attention around that event as we possibly can.
Whilst also trying to keep it fresh year after year.
Well, keep it fresh. I mean, how do we innovate? How do we look at categories? You mentioned categories, earlier, and we always look for feedback. Is there trades that have been missed? Is there, and we have a specialist trade now, and that involves people like that spray roofs and spray buildings and wrap kitchen doors and stuff. We can't create a category for wrapping kitchen doors because there might only be 3 or 4 companies in Scotland that do it. So that wouldn't be credible. And we need about 80 to 100 businesses to enter the competition, so that when we shortlist it to 10, 70 have missed out, and then that creates FOMO, fear of missing out, which creates an environment that people want to enter, and they want to try harder next year to try and get to the shortlist. And you can only win it if you're in the shortlist. You can't win it if you're not.
I know. Yeah, no, it's good that the feedback is listened to, I think, because as you say, when you went to the awards before you started, you always had things in your head where you were saying, I would do this differently or whatever. So, you would be quite arrogant to say, well, I'm not going to listen to what could be changed because this is perfect. So what you're saying is you take...
I think there's people in this industry, I won't mention any names, but I've got people that run events that don't listen to anybody. I always wonder how successful do you need to become to be that type of person?
Yeah.
And I think you've always been that person.
Yeah.
I don't think money or success changes you. It's just the way you're wired. But I think we've built this business on listening to people.
Yeah.
You know, when we have the entertainment awards and we have the Venga Boys in May there, and with the stage in the room, and people go, "How have you created this mega event?" And it's been created by the people. The people have come back to us.
Because the
in the
Venga
last
Boys
50
were in the centre there, weren't
centre of the
they?
room.
Aye.
Were you at that?
No, one of
you
my
see
clients
some of
was
the
at it,
videos?
aye.
And then it becomes legendary because people go, "Oh, you had the Venga Boys last year. Well, who's this year?" But the problem is that you put
Right,
yourself under pressure.
Yeah.
Then you need to.
I think
up it.
how we look at it is, so you mentioned like how do we innovate it and how do we change it. So the idea that how I look at it is that you guys are coming along, right, because you're one of our partners, right? But you're not for an award in the night. But I need to entertain you.
Yep.
I need to entertain you because if you win an award, you could be in a phone box. See, this like when they matter to people. I've won an award, you know, and they're that excited and they've got that much adrenaline that the night could be the worst night ever. But how we work it is we look at people like you and we sit and go, how do we make sure they have a great night?
Yeah.
Because see, if you have a great night, I know the finalists and the winners and the highly recommended are going to have an exceptional night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem when you've got sponsors like Ideal Home Show and so forth, because they're coming along with clients that are not going up for an
Exactly.
award. And the last thing they want is a client going at 10 o'clock, listen, I need to go. And it's because they're bored stiff.
Yeah.
And then they leave. And then the Ideal Home Show or someone like that would sit and go, do we really want to support this next year? Because it wasn't a great experience for our guests.
Right.
So that's how we view it. And if we do it that way, it tends to work.
Well, we'll be out and about on the night speaking to
there.
all of those finalists
I
and
know.
winners. So
We'll be kicking about
watch
with
this
the
space.
Gillian
The
McCluskey one.
Gillian, aye, we'll be
from-
kicking about with GM Luxury
Well,
Home
if you're
Staging.
every GM, I'm sure it'll be,
It'll
it'll be memorable.
Fun.
It'll definitely
So
be
that
fun.
was one of the questions we had for you. Was like, what is your most? Has there been a most memorable moment, as in funny or
A pinch me moment, maybe.
yeah, even a pinch me moment?
I
Yeah.
think there's a book. There's definitely a book. But I couldn't do the book until I was finished, you know. But Confessions of a, you know, it sounds like some sort of adult movie. It's not, but Confessions of an Event Manager. There's been loads of stories over the years. I mean, and, you know, with Lulu at the event. And I mean, Lulu was unbelievable. I remember I got my son to pick her up at the airport. She was coming up with our PA manager. And the PA manager had been giving us a bit of a hard time in advance of it. And I'm thinking, this Lulu's going to be hard work. So we had this car and my son was driving it with 2 bottles of water in the back. And I said, right, Lulu and our PA, get them up, you know, with the sign at the arrivals at Glasgow, get them in the back of the car, don't speak to them. Do not speak to them. Just drive to the airport, the hotel. We'll get her at the hotel, we'll get her settled in. Just drive. So he gets Lulu and her PA come across the car and he opens the back door for Lulu to get in and she went, I can't go in the back door, the back car, I'll be sick. I need to sit in the front. So that was the plans for him up in the air. He was only young at the time.
Yeah.
So next minute he's got Lulu sitting beside him, but he didn't know who Lulu was because he's only early 20s. It's quite funny because he was saying at the weekend, his mother-in-law, and he was saying, after he picked somebody up on Sunday, he says, Lulu. And the mother-in-law went, I think you've made a mistake. He went, no, Lulu, she's on the Beatles and all that. She was married to the Bee Gees. My dad was telling me about Lulu. She went, no, her? Aye. She went, oh my God, I'd love to meet her. So Lulu's jumped in the front of the car and she's went, this is a nice car. This is a lovely car. This isn't your car. Whose car's this? And he's like, I'm not meant to be speaking to you.
I'm not allowed to
And
talk.
he's
I'm
like,
not allowed to
"It's my
talk to
dad's
Lulu."
car. Is your dad a boss? Yeah, your dad's a boss. Right, where's your daffy? And he's like, Campbell's Lang, I'm for Castlemilk. And he's like, all right. And she was absolutely brilliant. She was absolutely fantastic to deal with. And being from Glasgow and coming back and performing in front of
Yeah.
800 people in a kind of intimate dinner setting was incredible. But there's been quite a few over the years that I could. There was one other one I'll tell you without boring you, and it was a Home Improvement Awards, and we had this magician called the Great Aziz, and everybody that I meet, I talk about this guy. This guy is out of this world, right? He's not expensive, but he's an old school 1980s magician, right? There's a floating table and everything, but it's sensational. Makes a candle disappear when it's lit and everything. Honestly, I'm just blown away with this guy. But he still works with a couple of doves, right? And he has them in the house, and they fly about the house. So they're members of the family. He's like his sons and daughters, seriously. And Des was about to invite him onto the stage. He's behind the stage at this point. It was at the Home Improvement Awards a number of years ago. And the hand came out the behind the curtain, and it was like this. So I'm looking, I'm going, there must be a problem. So I went behind the curtain, and he's got the dove. And I went, is everything all right? He says, no. He says, there's a problem with the dove. So I'd taken it at that point that the dove had died.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, I hadn't died. I don't know what was up with it, but he corrected me last week when I spoke to him about it. But he's had the dove like this. So I went to Des Clark, and I went, so Des came over to the side of the stage, please welcome. I went, no, don't, the dove's dead. Right? I went, go to stand up. So Des is went to stand up for 10 minutes, and he's just chatting away. You know, doing his stand up, talking about his different things after the Gorbals or whatever. And then the hand comes out from behind the curtain.
He's alive.
So I went like to Des. He says, all right, without further ado, please welcome the great Aziz. And he'd come on and he'd worked away, but for some reason this dove had went to sleep. Because he's like, they're like his pets, and he's had them his whole life.
That is
and just went to sleep, and he was trying to wake it up, and it wasn't waking it up. So I'd taken for that dove's dead.
That dove's
Like,
dead.
Des. And what I love about, like you would have experienced for your wedding, is live.
Aye.
And I don't think people really appreciate that the wheels are, see if the wheels start to come off, right? You can't go pause.
Aye.
Des,
You
halt,
just
like
need
make-up,
to-
cut.
aye.
Right, everybody go to sleep. Right, we're going to go again. And it's that live, and that's what kind of the adrenaline is on the
adrenaline,
night,
exactly
because
what I was
there's
gonna
so
say.
many moving parts. And as I always say to my guys, if anything goes wrong, smile and wave. Come
Smile
over
and
and
wave.
go, listen, boss, you're not going to believe this, but this happened and blah, blah, blah. And because it's live, a lot of things are out with your control.
I know Des did, like, because I think last year when I was there, it was noisy. And
Oh,
Des
aye.
was like, right,
Loud and raucous, and yet
like,
you
come
kept-
on, guys, shush. Because as time goes on, the drink gets more and all the
Aye.
rest of it, and then you're like, right, he's like at the back, and as you say, it's the largest ballroom, it's
And the
huge.
tradies and the apprentice
treat
night
it,
out, they're
and they're
just
having a
like...
ball.
Do
It's
you know
like
it's a
hard.
difficult one? And within reason, we try and keep, you know, but ultimately these guys are here. It's a once a year.
Yeah,
you know, they're
absolutely.
really excited. We just pray on the day that it's a sunny day, because I think about 5 or 6 years ago it rained, and everybody finished early. And everybody finished at 12 o'clock because it got rained off on all the sites and stuff. And by the time they got to us
of
about
course,
5:30, it was just very, very difficult. Aye. Most people couldn't bite the thumb, you know, and you were going, oh, this is good. So we always pray for good weather on the day. It can rain about 6 o'clock, but if it's good weather before.
Well, we got good weather on Saturday, but Sunday was absolutely pouring for the heavens. But we'd been married, we came out of City Hall. I'm sitting in the fancy car waiting on the hubby. And Declan's just like, keep smiling, smiling wave. He's like trying to do it, and I'm like, where is he? Like, what is going on? And he's like, Stan, it's just fine, it's fine. And I was like, what's going on? And there was a protest in Belfast City Centre that we did not know about. And the taxis that we had booked for people to go to the lunch venue were gridlocked, so all the roads were shut. The taxi company would have known, but never.
So like you're
Or
saying, it's a live event.
It's
You
a
need to
live
just
event.
deal with it, so you
So
take to your feet and
They had all
walk.
to walk. They had all to
100%.
walk, and I was like, oh dear.
You never know
but
what's coming at you.
No,
I mean,
no.
we did an event one time, it was a circus theme, and I'd met this illusionist, Chris DeRosa,
Right.
and he's performed in Las Vegas and everything, but he's from Glasgow, he's a great guy. And I was having a meeting with him, and I said, I need something special for this event, I need a USP. And he said, what about a mermaid? Right? And I went, a mermaid? And Lassie dresses up as a mermaid and she floats about in a tank. So I dismissed it out of hand, and I was sitting having dinner with my son. My son was only young at the time, maybe 10, 12. And I went, this illusionist today said I should bring a mermaid. And he went, a mermaid? Dad, that'll go viral. He went, a mermaid? When have you ever been to an event a mermaid's been at it? Dad, you need to book her. So I'm on the phone this night negotiating with this mermaid. We does a deal. She's coming in this big tank, and
So we're actually talking tanks in that one.
aye, so it's, you know, a tank that you fill with water,
Aye.
right? So she's meant to be floating about and swimming in this tank, and we goes and announces it, and Quiz Clothing come on and go, we'll sponsor the tank. So we did a big deal with Quiz Clothing. It's all branded up. I get a phone call on the Thursday night for the mermaid. She says, I need to cancel Sunday. We had 1,000 people coming. I need to cancel Sunday. My tank's come off of the high ab and I've cracked it.
Oh no.
And you know that feeling of like,
Oh.
hang on a minute
God.
here, I've told everybody we've
Yeah,
got a
we
mermaid
get a
coming,
mermaid.
we've got Quiz Closing sponsoring it, we've got this, all the papers coming. This is a disaster. I said, look, just come. And she had men as well, right? I said, just bring the mermen and the mermaid and come. Oh, but what about my tank? I went, don't you worry about the tank. There'll be a tank there for you. Right? So I've secured the deal, and I'm like, oh, bro, it's Thursday night. Because I had office the Friday morning. I go, find me a tank. Tell my guys. What? Find me a glass tank that we can fill water with. But it's got to be that thick with the glass. And so we phoned a number of fabricators and they could do it, but it was going to take 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then Reese from The Apprentice, Reese, and Reese is working with us at the time. And Reese came in and went, I've got an idea. What about putting a swimming pool in? And I went, what? He went, I've got a swimming pool here that's 8 metres by 4 metres. This big, massive swimming pool. And we were out of answers. So I went, perfect.
Just do it.
But I never told the centre, I never told the venue, the Merchant Square, because I knew that health and safety and I knew that the guys in there would dismiss it. But we were in for 6 o'clock setting up. So by the time they come in at 12 o'clock, I've got a full swimming pool full of water. And Jenny came over and she went, hey, can I have a word with you about the swimming pool? I went, do you mean the tank? She went, it's not a tank, it's a swimming pool. I went, well, tank, swimming pool, same thing.
Potato.
And we got away with it. Mermaid came swimming about, it's all branded. But what happened is that they got a wee split in it about 10 o'clock.
Oh,
my
no.
goodness.
And there was a little bit of water coming out of it. And we had a lot of electrical equipment and everything there. And the centre manager came over to me and says, we're going to need to evacuate the building. And I went, if you evacuate the building, you'll kill somebody because people panic. I says, why don't we just tell everybody to move into Metropolitan at a slow pace, and we'll get guys beside it with brushes brushing the water away from the electrics. And you talk about stress levels, because if this had a burst, I mean,
I know.
and it never burst. Luckily, it was just like a little kind of one of the seams, but it came loose ever so slightly. And I was going over to people that were sitting black tie having their dinner in the middle of, excuse me, I need to ask you to move. Why? Well, if you look underneath, you'll see a bit of water there. Yeah, but what's the problem? I said, well, you could be
There's a mermaid.
electrocuted. If that bursts, I said, you could be electrocuted, so I need you to get up. So we managed to evacuate everybody in there and get the pool emptied. But the pressure, you can imagine.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then what annoyed me about that is a guy jumped in it and was doing lengths in it. Because again, you've got to realise that at these events, right, people are drunk. So this guy jumps in with a tweed suit and starts doing lengths. And when the security are trying to grab him, he's soaking him. So the security guards came over to me, completely drenched. What do you want me to do? I said, just leave him. So he left him in there. The night went on. He climbed out once the spotlight wasn't on him. And then he had the audacity to write me a letter asking for a compensation because the chlorine had shrunk his tweed suit.
Right.
And I went, well, it was only water that was in it. There was no chlorine in it. But having the audacity to try and write to us because we ruined his suit.
Takes me back because when I worked for Lloyd's, I worked for Group Transformation. They made 40,000 colleagues, but we had colleagues based in Scotland and Bristol and London and whatever. London, as you say, is very London centric, so the majority of stuff was there. But we used to organise the biggest and best annual events for it, and it just reminds me of that because you were on edge thinking, right, is this going? Because I think one was in the Oxo Tower and all. And you're all this entertainment, and you're just thinking, right, make sure everything goes wrong. But you've always got to be prepared for.
People come back to me and say to me, remember about 8 or 9 years ago you had a swimming pool at your event? You know, because it's pushing the boundaries, but equally there's huge risk attached to it. You know, and if you ask the Warren now, after COVID and that, would Warren now do a swimming pool? The answer would be no.
Yeah.
But the one before COVID, we were pushing the boundaries and just listen, we'll do it. You know, and then but you have to then really look at, you know, what consequences could be, and it could have been quite severe for us. But
so Warren, this brings me to my favourite part of the podcast.
The first one of the season.
The first one of season 2.
Yes.
So this is a little quick fire round. We need quick 1-word answers. You've not been prepared for this at all. So so tell me, whiskey or champagne at the bar?
Champagne.
Glasgow events or Edinburgh events?
Glasgow.
He hesitated. Glasgow.
Summer awards or winter awards?
Winter awards.
Front of stage or behind the scenes?
I'd like to be behind the scenes, but we've kind of built a rod for our own back. So, you want the word answer? Front of stage.
Front of stage. Black tie or a bit of sparkle?
Both. If I can allow both, I think black tie and sparkle. I think
and a wee kilt in there as well.
I think the more, a bling is good. And I think,
the Shires are confetti. Oh.
Remember what podcast you're on?
I'm here to talk about home improvement,
No,
so I
that
need to
was
say
a
the
trick
Shires.
question for you.
to
Both
say the
successful
Shires.
events. I was actually at the very first, the inaugural, is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Inaugural?
inaugural, yeah.
Confetti Awards
Really?
with Craig Alexander Wilson and
Oh.
Gene Johansson. So back in the day,
Aye.
20, was that 2016? I was
It's been going 10 years this year, so aye. Yep,
2015,
2016.
aye.
Yeah.
It's February 2016, that's right.
But that's an event that's been transformed.
Yeah.
Just again, time is a big thing. People talk about why they're so successful now, but I think we can't accelerate anything. In the early days, we used to really force it,
Yeah.
really be quite assertive in the market and really kind of push it, probably trying to run before you could walk.
Yeah.
But I think experience teaches you now that
Yeah.
time, just let it
Yeah.
manifest and let it grow.
And we are so excited to be involved in
I
the
know.
Shires this year on a different level. And
A
like,
different thing, yeah.
aye, and
Be good to speak. And then I think we're going to meet up with Gillian and we're going to do the wee kind of lounge.
So
a wee
Gillian's
kind of
wanting to
winners
do
lounge type thing.
a little green room kind of
Aye.
thing, but like a kind of a winners kind of
yeah.
Corner.
area that we can do.
Yeah.
And potentially going to have some of the winners on the night on
Yeah.
as guests because we're focusing on trades this season. So
Yeah.
it's going to be good.
No.
No, 100%.
So before we round up, if you weren't running awards, what would you be doing?
That's a good question, actually.
Cutting grass.
I think festivals is probably,
Aye.
we've did some festivals at George Square, the Italian festivals.
That's right.
I think that's where we'd like to do it. And I always leave the door open for landscaping because I loved that. I thought that when I think about what I do for a living now to that was so therapeutic and so
Yeah.
effortless. It
Yeah.
was just, it was incredible,
But even now, obviously the categories they've got landscaping in the category, and one of the guys that I work closely with, Jordan, he's in Glasgow Garden Maintenance, GGM.
Yeah.
He was there last year. He won last year.
Yeah, top business.
So again, from Cambuslang, and I brought himself up and helped his mammy and his granny
Jordan's got a
and
great
cut
story.
grass, and he takes on a lot of young guys that are needing a wee bit of direction and whatever. He does really well. So, but big business, like really big business.
Yeah,
It's grew into,
As I said, this is the
somewhat
first
monster.
time that I've kind of been in camera or speaking about who I am and who our company is, and it's something that it's just choosing the right moments to be able to
Yeah.
communicate that. But
Yeah.
a lot of these guys went to the same school as me, maybe a few years younger than me. So we share a very similar journey where kind of education
Yeah.
wasn't the driver. As I said, I've been a landscaper. So there's a lot of, sympathy or respect, I think. No sympathy is the wrong word, but I've got a lot of respect for these guys and a lot of, I've got a lot more understanding about what they do to be successful than maybe what they think.
Yeah.
And they see us maybe sometimes as an organisation that's kind of faceless. And it's this organisation.
Yeah.
And whereas we're really just like them with the same gain is to just try and improve the reputation of home improvements in Scotland.
And if you could give one piece of advice to any business that's pondered the idea of entering the awards that naturally haven't had the courage to, what would it be?
Well, if you're not in it, you can't win it for a start. And you've got to try it. I mean, it's free enter.
Yeah.
We have T's and C's on this website, and we say that you must come. Someone must be there to represent you in the evening. Now that can manifest in a number of different ways. That could be that they're best friends with you, and you're in the room.
Yeah.
So that if their name gets read out, you can go up and you can say, on behalf of such and
Yeah.
such, thanks very much. Now, considering that there's over 700 people there, and the amount of sponsors and partners that are with us, your Ideal Home shows, your DeWalt tools, we just did a deal with Tennant Lager. They're our official beer partner now. We'd ran McCalling for many years, but we're over now, and we're
Pucker
dealing with
Pies.
Glasgow Tea, the Glasgow Tenants, which I think is a better fit for the audience. There's a lot of people and a lot of effort, and I think that for one person to be sent from a business to represent it, I think is fair. So that opens us up to these smaller businesses.
Yep.
And it's the smaller businesses that we want to appeal to every year as well, because to become bigger and to become more successful, you need the recognition that separates you from your competition. So I would urge everybody to get involved. I mean, what is it to lose? I mean, that is a problem. It's the fear of losing. I mean,
Yeah.
we find that sometimes that businesses get to a certain size, and then it becomes, what if we don't win? How will that make us look? We'll be embarrassed, and it's that embarrassment factor. But as I said, if you're in it, you can win it. If you're not in it, you can't win it. And then
That's
if your
it.
competitor wins it, and you've decided to step out, and then they monetize it, and they've got a marketing guru who can show them how to use it and how to harness it, it could potentially indirectly do you damage. So it's one of the ones that it's a fear of missing out. You know, will I be in it? Will I not be in it? I would urge, and our guys always say, look, what's the worst that can happen? You don't win.
So don't have FOMO, enter the Shires.
Aye, don't have
That's
FOMO.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, don't let the FOMO get you.
That's it. And we're looking forward to it. So it's next Friday, the 19th of September.
19th of September, Doubletree by Hilton Glasgow.
Love
Excellent.
it. Can't wait.
And yeah, as I said, I think we're about 700 at the moment. So
Brilliant.
you know, there's still tickets available. There's still people to confirm. People getting babysitters. People saying, you know, will I take
Getting
one
the black
person?
tie.
Will I come with? And then as you see, everybody starts talking about it, and then it's like that again. It's like I need to be there.
Yeah.
So we normally see a surge at the end, but as I said, 700 people is a lot of people. It'll be a noisy night. I'm sure Des will have his work cut out that night. But as I said, for us, it's the two sections for awards, and then there's lots of entertainment kind of dotted throughout the night. But it's really just trying to have that bit of respect for each other
Yeah.
during the awards
that's
bit,
it.
because that's a special bit that that we're all there for.
Fab, Warren, it's been an absolute joy having you on and sharing your exclusive.
It is exclusive. I don't know how well it's going to get
we'll
down.
need to
but
bring you back after the awards.
I know.
And
We'll
be
do
like,
a
right,
debrief.
let's-
Yeah, maybe bring me back that night when both ties hanging off. And
We'll have him on the
Award
mic
disheveled.
that night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know
Excellent.
if there's a secret after party that we don't know about.
There's not.
Oh,
There's not.
sake.
There's not this year. The after party is in the building, and George Bowie is there. But it is something that we're looking at. We've got a new idea for the entertainment awards next year, where the Robert Burns suite, which was sits out through the drinks reception to the front end, is turned it into a club. We just did a deal with Hooch there, so we're looking at maybe having a Hooch nightclub within, so that people want to just sit in the bar, or they want to sit and listen to some music. But then the people that want that kind of club experience, then
Aye,
you know,
absolutely.
we're going to do that. So maybe next year that you have,
Amazing.
you know,
I did actually see on that note, and it's amazing, like using the power of social media. Wonder Bar, did you see that they messaged Lewis Capaldi and they said, how many likes would it take for you to do your official after party? And he replied to them and he was like, you need to get to 35,000 followers and I want 10,000 likes and I'll do a set for you.
Wow.
And it's just, it blew up overnight. It just shows you like the power.
Yeah.
Belinkies are a special place, and their marketing team are absolutely brilliant. We've done a lot of work with them. They're good,
Yeah.
good guys.
Fantastic.
So
Listen,
aye.
it's been great to chat to you.
It's been
Absolutely
brilliant. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
inviting me
coming
in.
on.
I've been
It's
really,
been
really
great.
pleased to be able to come in and help promote the event and help promote the podcast. And
Yep.
more people should be listening to it.